Welcome to Sharing Our Ways, in which the members of Earth Spirit Society, Essence, and our friends share of our spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and experience. The views expressed represent those of the presenter and not necessarily the views of the Society. We share our points of view. We do not tell people what to believe. We hold that each one of us has their own path to follow, to truth and spirit. My name is John Wrightman. I am a founding member of Earth Spirit Society, Essence. I served in the MPGFA. I'm festival coordinator of Aegis, Pagan Festival and Spiritual Retreat. My academic background is in the social sciences. I follow my own path. This is the first in a series entitled Ways of the Wyrd. The title is inspired by one of the original meanings of Wyrd, one who controls their own fate. The views contained are not specific to any one path and may enhance your experience regardless of beliefs. This series is applicable to any age, providing that the children are advanced enough to understand and that their parents or guardians also follow it. This session is entitled Experience and Symbols, Beliefs and Believing, Concepts and Reality, Powerful Questions and Definitive Answers to Age-Old Questions. I don't know who is listening to this. I don't know where you are in your life. This may be all new to you or all very familiar. Most people will be somewhere in between. I invite you all to observe with an open heart and an open mind and add to your points of view. There may be some discomfort. Do not follow this unless you are at a point in your life where you are open to having personal growth. This is all about how we hold our experience in life. We're going to be thinking about thinking and our responsibility in it. If done properly, these sharings will require some courage on your part. The path you follow, traveling the ways of the Wyrd with me, will bring you to a threshold where you will discover new possibilities. At the threshold, you will meet your secret enemy. Your enemy has sabotaged you before. Your enemy has known you for a long time. Your enemy knows where you have been. Your enemy knows what you have seen. Your enemy knows everything you know. Your enemy knows you. When you come to the threshold, you will have the chance to know your enemy. It will take courage, and you can only come to the threshold with an open heart and an open mind. Everyone's path is different, so I don't know when each of you will come to the threshold. What I can do is help equip you for the journey. Here are things you need to know. We don't respond to the actual world as we go about our lives. We don't? How can that be? First of all, we have limited senses to perceive the world. Birds, reptiles, insects, and shrimp can all see a wider spectrum of light than we can. Dogs have a sense organ in their nose that only detects pheromones. Some creatures can detect magnetic fields. The experience of all these creatures is different from ours. Even amongst humans, we don't see the same. There are several types of color blindness. Some of us are completely blind. Some are deaf. Our experience is limited to the range of our perceptions. If we do not perceive it, we cannot respond to it. Secondly, we have filters in place that limit our perceptions. These are learned. This is a normal part of learning, to start making distinctions. A thing is what it is and not something else. We make uncountable decisions by the time we are 5 or 6 years old, and these shape and influence all our later decisions as adults. They are the foundation of our worldview. In addition to that, we learn language and behavior from our culture, and this is all preset before we are born. As soon as we're born, we start being learning sponges, absorbing everything around us. All of this is biased and filters our perceptions further. Finally, we don't take in information objectively and intellectually. All our perceptions are tied to emotions, which pull and distort our perceptions in keeping with the mind-body drive for survival. Time for some definitions. When I'm speaking of the mind, I'm not talking about a thing. I'm talking about a set of interactions and relationships involving the brain, central nervous system, and the endocrine system at the very least. When I'm talking about a thing, I'm referring to an event involving matter, energy, and time. A cup full of water has thingness. It has a set of atoms that holds a noticeably constant shape and other atoms inside which are different, porcelain and water. Reality is measurable. It is full of events and things. It is in some way observable. Concepts, on the other hand, are not real. Ideas may be communicated and they can be used to communicate. They may inform or inspire, but they are not real. You can't put one in a bucket. They may be true or not. They may represent some aspect of reality. They may illuminate. They may just lie. And they are what we think with. We think in symbols, words, and numbers. Anything that represents something else is a symbol. This is the digital part of our mind. Symbols can be used to explain anything. Every book ever written was written in symbols. How many of them misinform or mislead? They all left out something. Some are outright fiction. The translation from experience to symbols is always a degradation. When you see a sunset, you can write about it in symbols. You can talk about it in symbols. You can give someone an impression of your experience. How shallow is your sharing compared to the experience of a sunset? The many varied colors, the flow of the distant horizon, the sky, everything in between, the feel of the wind, the scent in the air, the feel of the earth beneath you, the way it made you feel inside can be invoked and never replicated. There are a million details lost in the degradation, always by definition. A symbol represents something else. It is not the thing it represents. All the world's holy books are written in symbols. They claim to speak the truth. That is not possible. They can only speak of the truth. The truth is too big to squeeze into a symbol. You can't put the truth into a word. A symbol is a reference that only makes sense in relation to your own experience. If you don't know what a symbol actually stands for, what meaning can it have? Anything or nothing. And where do symbols get their power? There are meta symbols, such as the Quran or the Bible. They are symbols full of symbols about symbols. They become a symbol themselves. Trump held one up as a symbol of his righteousness. If he's got the symbol, he must be righteous. He smooched the flag, too. He must love America. That is the power of symbols, and we give symbols that power. If we were to put one of those books, the Quran or the Bible, in a special capsule and send it to the moon, and have a specially designed robot put it on a special pedestal under a special crystal dome, what would happen? The only way a symbol can have any power or effect is through us. The power of symbols lives in us. We grant power to inanimate objects. In the USA, children swear allegiance to a piece of fabric, a symbol, and to the nation for which it stands as an afterthought. Any defacement of that symbol is felt to justify retribution. The actual country of people and geography can be crapped on all over the place, but you better not hurt the feelings of the symbol. Does this seem like people responding to reality? No. They're responding to a concept that only lives within them. And as it turns out, many people of the USA do not agree on what the actual concept is that they all swore allegiance to. Some of them aren't responding to anything that is real. Concepts are much more flexible than reality. Concepts are imagination. So be aware of the distinction between reality and concepts. The distinction will broaden your capacity to perceive the world, and there is power in that. Please come back for the conclusion of session 1 of The Ways of the Wyrd, now available. This is the conclusion to part 1 of my series, The Ways of the Wyrd. The introduction is available and should be watched first. Okay, so let's open up some more on concepts. Categories help us think a lot. Categories are concepts. Concepts are created by people. Some categories can be very useful. For instance, terms such as predators and prey or dangerous and safe give us information about the real world. The symbols Pentecostal, heathen, working class, nobility, and untouchable all give us cultural information. We just love to put everything into categories. What does that do? Well, it allows us to make easy decisions. It allows us to stigmatize and manipulate. A common theme, again in the US, is to talk about political correctness. So let's. First, what is it? It seems to be when people are considerate and compassionate and respectful of differences. That seems to be what is going on when they talk about it. They stuck a new name on it, and now all that is just a foolish infringement on their rights. Marshall McLuhan called that label libel. You defame what is going on with a name. Once it has a name and we know whether it's good or not, we don't have to think about it anymore. It's all done. We can dismiss it from our minds. And it's all done with concepts that may have nothing to do with reality. Look at racism. Did you know that scientifically there is only one human race? We don't pretend that a calico cat is a different race from a brown cat, but we started to do that with people. We make it up and then pretend it's important. But he's black on the left side. We make that meaningful or we don't. And what does meaningful mean? Since meaning is what symbols do, it sounds like we attach symbols to things to make them important. And that doesn't sound like we mean when we say meaningful. I had a meaningful experience. If you ask what it meant, there's no reply because no symbol is attached. I think that's because when we say meaningful, the experience of that is more like connectedness and purpose, and we call it meaningful. Is that a meaningful way to use the word? What do it mean? Let's look at the meanings and uses of the words beliefs and believing. I don't see how those symbols are talking about the same thing. The problem might be in part trying to nounify an event, trying to make an experience into a thing. How do we use those words? I believe in God and country. I believe I'll have a beer. I believe in my wife. I have beliefs about Trump. I have beliefs about COVID-19. My beliefs are better than your beliefs. I don't believe in having beliefs. Do you believe in me? Do you believe in Santa? You probably have an idea what I'm saying in each of these, and they don't use the words the same way. By their use, a belief is a notion with an emotion. That is to say, an idea you're attached to that you are passionate about. It's not an idea that can be verified in reality, although many will seek evidence. Ideas that can be verified are not beliefs, they are observable facts. Beliefs are concepts. We fight wars over them. They are, by definition, not real, just worth killing over. It's all in our minds. Belief based on someone's spiritual experience is like this. Imagine you're standing on your head, looking through a tiny crack in a wall in the dark, while a mixed herd of something stampedes past on the other side. And in the moment of a flash of lightning, you get a glimpse of many running feet in the dust and vegetation. Religious belief is like that flash of insight. When you turn it into symbols, you get a little snapshot and pretend it's the big picture, when it must be only a picture of a very small part of anything. We are the Medusa turning the world to stone. Once you label it, you're done. Once you're done, you can stop being open to seeing more. What is the reality? The word believing can mean having a belief, as in, I believe in the Easter Bunny, or on the other hand, it can be about commitment, attachment, and alignment. Then it doesn't require a concept, just emotion, connection, experience, as in, I believe in you, which is clearly different from, I have beliefs about you. Personally, I'm not a fan of beliefs. I substitute the way it looks so far. An update as experience informs me. The way of the weird is an open way. When we talk about a belief, we are saying that something is out there. We can't prove it, and we're sure anyway. That is the way to be closed. You can't experience a belief. You can't experience a label. Our experience isn't really out there. It's within. It's a process of the mind. It's always within. So what is experience? You can't put it in a bucket. It can't be measured directly. By my definition, it's not real. Isn't that interesting? It's the realest thing there is, and it's not real, and it's not a thing. It's something else entirely. It's experience. It's the way we get the world as it comes at us, to us, and past us. It's light and sound and smell and taste, and all of that is filtered and biased, as I explained before. It's your internal experience, and all of that is filtered and biased. We always respond to our internally manufactured experience and never the real world as it is. You can be annoyed by that, or you can learn from it, or both. To have power in your life, you must look beyond the symbols to the reality. You can choose the useful bias and let the ones that don't serve you wither and die. What is the reality? Another way to ask the same question is, what is going on? What is going on gives you a much more useful answer than, what is the meaning of this? It is more informative about reality and will always generate more questions. Answers give closing. Will that be meaningful? Questions create openings. We find growth in openings. Here's another powerful question. How do you know? When you have the usual answers, you're walking a path pre-constructed for you by people who never knew you. When you have questions, you follow your own path. Don't be certain you know. Be certain that you don't know at all. Live in the mystery of life, and life will be empowering and inspiring. I've spoken about experience and symbols, beliefs and believing, concepts and reality, and given you some powerful questions. It's time for definitive answers to age-old questions. I have two. The first question I have an answer to is, who started the fight? The answer may be found in the words to the question. You can hit me all day long, and it will never be a fight unless I hit back. Until then, it's a beating. The fight starts when we hit back. The seed of the answer is found in the question. If you ask the question differently, you will get a different answer. What questions are you asking in life? The second definitive answer is to the question, is the glass half empty or half full? I was able to acquire a model. The only correct answer to this question is no. No, the glass is not half empty or half full. Literally, figuratively, and metaphorically, this glass is full. It's half full of unjugged jug water and half full of a standard mix of atmospheric gases. We tend not to respond to what we can't see, even when we know it's there. And you all did. You all knew the glass was full. You know about air. But symbols in our culture told us to give a different answer. And we cooperate even when we know it's not right. Your life is full as the glass, as full as you let it be. Notice it. Look beyond the glamours we set ourselves. Notice when you don't. Live in the mystery. Your time and presence is a great gift. Thank you for being here. This is the first installment of my series, The Ways of the Wyrd. If you have any questions or points you'd like to discuss, please register for the second session, which will be conducted interactively. Details will be available on our website, essns.org, and on Facebook. If you like, you can rewatch this episode and take notes to prepare. Until then, be well and be brave. Oh, and the quotation was from the original series, Star Trek, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. 1969.